KCAA Radio, Loma Linda, where no listener is ever left behind.
Hello, world. Hello, family and friends. Welcome to the E Factor Radio Show. I'm your host, Cornelius Bryant, and today is a special day for us here because, of course, you can see the person sitting next to me. But before I introduce him, I just want to say, for all the wildfires and just thank all the first responders and all those, and just send out a prayer to all the people affected by the fire, the ones who lost their homes and their family. And so what we're going to do today, we're going to do something a little different than our normal show. So sitting here, it's a familiar face. This is Charles Whitehead. And of course, those of you who remember months ago when we introduced him, not only that, he has a show here with the E Factor Radio Network. He's with the PVA, that's the Paralyzed Veterans Association. And so we just always want to do something to help the community and be a help when situations like this come up. And this is one of the things that we do. For those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that veterans are close to my heart because they serve our country. They keep us safe where we can do the things we do and protest the things we protest. But in a situation like this, we know that there's help for other people out there, but a lot of times we don't know where to get the help from. So he's here today, and we're going to talk a little bit about the fire and what's going on, but he's also has some information that can be shared to the vets out there. And I know a lot of times we say, okay, well, when you talk on the radio, especially depending on the situation, how can we reach out to get this information from you? And so I don't know if you can see it on the back screen, it looks a little blurred, but we do have, not only he's going to give you information, but we have a radio email now for the E Factor Radio Show where you can be able to contact us and we'll forward all the questions to you, to Charles, from you. So Charles, why don't you go ahead and step in right now and just give us a little bit about this and we'll just talk as we go.
All right, thank you, Cornelius. I'm Charles Whitehead, president of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, California chapter. We are out of the Long Beach VA Hospital, and we have a membership of like 622 veterans, disabled veterans, of course. And I talked to Cornelius, and I was like, you know what, this fire thing is really, really, man, it's tough on families. And we do have veterans who, as far as I know, there's one or two of them who've lost their home, and then some of them had to flee. And so I told Cornelius, I have resources for veterans who are not members of our, the PVA, but veterans in general, and there are a lot of businesses and places that will outreach, that will, they are willing to assist. So,
right, and that's good because when you think about it, we've had fires before, and in LA and around the areas, but never of this magnitude. I mean, every time you hear it, it's spreading, it's going here, it's going there. You have 50,000 evacuating here, 50,000 there. I think last time I heard, we had over 150,000 families evacuating. And that's a lot to be displaced from your home. And you think about it, and there's a lot of, you don't think about it normally, but the kids that's there. So with each home, if you add those people up and all that they're going through right now, with their children, and then especially like certain people have certain medical conditions. Because I know I was watching the news the other night, and they were evacuating a senior care facility. And they had the people out in the parking lot, and they're trying to find people to take them to these shelters and centers. And it just, mentally, it's just mind-boggling.
It is, and so we as, the leaders of our, my chapter, we started getting on the phone, and what we did was we went through our member database and started looking at the people who lived, to see exactly where our members were, and anyone who was in the area or close by the area or that are burning, we started getting on the lines and just start calling people, and trying to get in touch to find out who, because you just don't know,
Right.
who's whether their house is already burnt down or close to being burned down, or a threat to be at risk to be burned, or whatever. Well, and that was good because yesterday I got on the line and I started calling people, and fortunately most everybody was safe, and they just appreciated the whole thing about being in touch with them, and checking them out and make sure they're okay. And then there was actually a family that one of the guys, he told me, he said we got out. He said we went up north, and they're like 180 miles away. He said because it was just the stress level was just too high, and so part of our programs, we have a grant for a disaster relief at the PVA for our members, and that's $500. Whether you just had to leave, or and if someone's home is damaged or whatever, the PVA National in Washington D.C. has a bigger grant for things like that. But we have a disaster relief for $500, and so it's good to get on the line and just talk and hear people's thoughts, because people are really freaked out.
Well, yeah, because what you say, something was key was that they're stressed out. But I know, even though where I live at, we're not in evacuation or we're not in a fire zone, but actually it stresses me too. Because the reason being, when you think about all those people and all that they're going through, it's very stressful, because just as a human, you have compassion for one another. And especially the closer it is to home, the more stressful it is, because not only are you thinking, wow, the way those fires are spreading, and it can come where I live at any moment, because it's just unheard of the way they go from here to there. And so that's stressful. But then once you put yourself in these other people's places, that makes it even more stressful, because now you're thinking, especially I have family members, of course we both, because we're relatives, we have family members who had to get ready for evacuate. They say, well, be ready. So now you're waiting, and you're ready to evacuate at any moment, and you're here, you're looking at the fires, and you're stressing, where am I going to go and how am I going to get there? And then your anxiety, depending on what kind of person you are, you goes, well, I'm going to go now, because I got to go now. I'm going to get a jump on everybody else, because you don't want to get caught in the traffic and all that goes on. So that's another level of stress. But let's say, even with you, where you're saying about the VA, the veterans, so this is not just a paralyzed veteran. This is for any vet, correct?
Correct, any vet. I have information that I brought with me to share with our listeners and your listeners, and make sure that people know this is not just a for the PVA only. I have information for anyone who's a member of ours, and if you're not a member, you can actually join. You have to be a spinal cord, ALS, or MS, one of the three diagnoses, and you could join our chapter, and you can always just give us a call, or send us an email. But I came with more than just the chapter. I came with veterans in general, and I have information, and we can share that in the next segment or so. But and basically it's when you think about it too, the fact that someone who all of these homes being burned, like you say, the stress level is not just for those people. And I do have friends that I found out that their homes have burned as well, because you feel for them, just like as if it was happening to you.
Right.
But it's not only affects those people; it's a trickle down effect. But then you think about, okay, those houses burned. So think about the people that like service those homes, like if they clean up, they do the gardeners,
right,
or the one who goes to clean up for the people, So it goes all the way down the line, So these are jobs lost to people who service those homes or service those areas. It's not just the stores, the employees. So
right, and then when you talk about the homes in the area, what we're talking about is not just homes. We're talking about a city,
Yes.
a whole city,
Businesses at all.
businesses and all, a whole city. You think about the span of, because I heard today, matter of fact, I was listening on the way here. They were saying it's has about a square mile radius, 35 miles. And if you think, depending on what day of traffic you try to travel, to go 35 miles, sometimes that can take you 2 hours to go 35 miles. And for the fire to extend that far and all the damage it's doing. So we're talking about not only homes and businesses being run, but the whole city.
The whole city.
The whole city. And like you said, with the trickle down, if you work for that particular city 20, 30 years, your pension and all this, that's gone. So it's not only affecting the families in the immediate burn area, but the workers and all that, their family, and that turns into way more than just the fire itself. It's
Correct.
all the lives that are affected by it and all the other things that we hardly even think about. You take for granted, like you said, the gardeners and the people who do the work, the cleaners who clean the buildings and who clean all these facilities. Now they're out of work too, no matter where they live.
Right. Even if they don't live in that area, I mean,
Correct.
The restaurants, the waitresses, the cooks, you could just go down the line and it's, with the mom and pops, to establishments that's been, serving the community for whatever type of business, whether it's, restaurant or,
Right.
Whatever. Those, 40, 50 years, it's all gone,
Right.
And the sad part about it is most people don't have fire insurance, 'cause
Well, let me stop you right there. While that's true that most people don't have fire insurance, but also a few months ago when they were canceling the insurance in California. So that's part of the reason why some don't have insurance.
yeah, I know.
Because I know I was listening, I was on social media and I had to get off of it because we talk about it all the time, how it taints you. But some people were saying, well, who cares? All these people are rich. They're all rich. But all the people are not rich.
No.
They're not all rich. Not only that, if they are rich because of their jobs or their profession, they work for it.
Correct.
They work for it. So it's not like somebody gave it to them and they didn't give it to this particular person. They work for the things they've got. So the loss is still the same. And it is. So, I think a lot of times when things like this happen, we find out the good in people, but also it brings out the ugly too.
It does.
And so we got to be really careful about that.
And especially like, you hear about people who are over there looting, the areas that are burned to try to see what they can get out of it, so, I mean, it's, there's so much that's just wrong with the whole situation that can happen.
Right. And it's sad, but, these just goes to show that that's part of it. There's the good and the bad and the ugly.
It is, unfortunately, it's a human, a human trait. Some
Right.
people just don't care. And there are other people who do care. You have the ones that, they're when you see the vulnerable, they prey on that kind of stuff.
Right.
But we have to do what we have to do to, be informing people. Let them know what's going on, regardless, because whether we talk or not, these kind of things are going to happen. It's unfortunate, but
It is. It's very unfortunate. We're going to stop for a minute and take a break. Then on the other side of this break, we're going to come back. Cornelius Charles, today's special edition. Thank you.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work from home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
Okay, welcome back. This is the E Factor Radio Show. We have me, the host, Cornelius Bryant, my special guest, Charles Whitehead, president of VA. And Charles, before we went to break, we were just saying, because we want to make sure we get this announced enough, because a lot of time, even now, you got to figure that a lot of people in the burn area who had to evacuate, they don't have access to TVs as much so as they have access to radio, because everything's probably going through their phone or something like that. So what we're going to do, we want to start off by letting you know, because first of all, you say it's not just for paralyzed vets. So in order to get these benefits, because if you're calling on the phone, usually with the red tape that goes on, you're calling, you have a million people calling, so we want to let them know how they can reach what the emergency contact that you want to do, but also to warn them to be careful, because there's all kind of scammers out there now. And so that's another thing that we've got going, people scamming and saying, well, we're going to give you help. You call these people or you reach out to them, then next thing you know, whatever you have left, they're trying to steal that from you. So I'll let you have the floor, and you can just give us some of that information.
Right. And it's a shame that scammers are out there, but, you really have to scrutinize who you talk to, and especially if you're elderly, someone who may be listening to this program who may not be affected may know of someone who is. I'm sure there's at least one person that's listening to this show that knows someone who's been affected by that fire.
Right.
And so if we reach one person, we're doing our job. And our job is to make sure people know about these resources. So, and of course, I was, like I said, the information that I have is not only for paralyzed veterans, but it's for veterans in general. And some of the places that are helping out is called the U.S. Vets, and you can call them and let's see. Say if you are a veteran who has been displaced by the Los Angeles wildfires and need help for yourself or your family, please call them. It says please call us, and that's U.S. Vets can help. That number is 213-500-1319. That's 213-500-1319, and that's just if you're a veteran in general. And then we have.
Let me ask you a question before you go
sure.
on to the next one, because of course there's a number, but you have to figure with such a magnitude of people being displaced, if they get ready to call that particular number and it's busy, is there an email that they can reach out to?
Let me see. I don't know if there's an email, but put it this way. Yes, you can. Well, here, I'll say this. Call me. Call us. If you have any problems, you can give me a call, and we will connect you. So call us at 562. That's the PVA office, 562-826-5713. Or you can, then again, 562-826-5713. And you can email us at info@pvacc.org. I said that's info@pvacc.org, or you can send me an email at cwhitehead@pvacc.org. And, then we'll pass the information on, because you can Google U.S. Vets, and they may have an email address, but this is just the immediate information I have. Phone
Okay.
numbers.
All right. So now we go on to the next. We just want to make sure we say it enough so people can hear it. And a lot of times, because when people are, especially if you're already in distress, it's hard for you to absorb information. Okay, we're ready for the next one.
Okay, so then there's you can apply for emergency housing assistance, and it says it's hello@one.online. That's HELLO at one. That's ONE.ONLINE. That's hello@one.online, and that's they can take care of you. Send them an email, and they will try to help you if you have been displaced from your home. And then we have another one here. It's called the. These are restaurants that are offering meals, food to fire evacuees and first responders. Or if I believe you can also be part of that network. They'll give food to if you lost your home. Okay, and actually what an evacuee is. Okay, and it's they are called the what is this? Good Morning America. Oh, okay. This was on Good Morning America. So it's I would send me an email, because some of these numbers there, and I can tell you who the restaurants are. The list, it's called All Time, and they're in Los Feliz. The Abbey, which is in West Hollywood. Bakari Silver Lake, that's in all of the locations. Baker's Bench, which is in Chinatown. BU Kitchen, it's in Virgil Village. There's Horses in Hollywood. Heavy Handed, which is in Santa Monica and Studio City. Laurie's Prime Rib, that's Tam and Beverly Hills. The Edendale, which is in Silver Lake. Fat Sal's Deli, that's in West Hollywood and Culver City, Encino, and Venice. Then you have Le Coupe, which is in East Hollywood. Le Great Outdoor, which is in Santa Monica. You have Love Hour, which is in Koreatown. Madre, which is in all locations. OSPI, Ospey, Brentwood, or Venice. The Rooster LA, which is in Santa Monica. You got Uncle Paulie's West on 3rd location, the West 3rd location. You have Birria San Marcos, which is in Van Nuys and North Hills. Brooklyn Bagel Bakery, they're in Westlake. Danny Boy's Famous Original, that's in Westwood and downtown LA. And all of these places, if you want, if it was going a little too fast, just send me a message, an email at cwhitehead@pvacc.org or info@pvacc.org.
And also you can reach us at info@efactorradio.com, and we'll help to forward these information to people to get it out. And what you said was something that we don't think about a lot of times, is that, we know like the veterans, when they're overseas or they're anywhere in the world fighting wars, the families are left behind, and their families are constantly worried about them and stressed about them and their safety. And this is a similar situation with our first responders, because their families are at home, even if they're not in the burn area, but their loved ones, their first responder loved one, they're out there and they're fighting. They're fighting a battle too. They're fighting a war right now, a war against the fires and against the destruction. And we even heard of some firefighters being injured. But we want to thank those families and let them know we support them too, because it's them. They're laying awake at night and they're doing the same thing as we're doing. They're watching TV and they're seeing these fires and they're seeing everything. It goes one way, it goes another way, and they're trying to go up and down these little small narrow streets. And at any moment, they can get trapped up there. And so it's a stressful situation for them as well. So I'm glad people are looking out for the firefighters and the first responders, because it's just so many different stress angles, let's say that, if that's a word, that's involved with this. And it's just terrible situation for everybody who's involved with it, even those who are not involved with it. Because I know people, they're not in the burn area, even in other states, but they're stressed out and they're worried. They can't sleep because they're worried about their loved ones and all the people who are suffering. And so that's good to be compassionate. But let's go back for a minute to when you were talking about the veterans and assistance. Let's say, because I know I was watching the news, and a lot of people, you know, when they're getting in the cars, they're leaving and what have you, but a lot of vets, they're not mobile, especially ones who are totally paralyzed. And so it's hard for them to get to an emergency shelter or things like that because of their special needs. And so does any of these address that specifically, or is it just all, excuse me, is it all just general?
No, we have special programs, and there are resources for paralyzed vets. There are resources for non-disabled vets as well.
Right.
And so we, as in the California chapter, we have a program for our members only that, you know, we have a disaster relief grant, you know, and so I talked to a few people yesterday, and one of the guys I talked to, you know, he moved his family out. They were in the burn area, and he said it was just too stressful. And, you know, the main thing is he had to pack his family up and move, and they went somewhere up north. He said, we just had to get away. He said it was stressing me. So I actually called him back, and I said, you know, you qualify for our disaster relief grant. You know, it's $500. It's like, you know, it doesn't matter if your home was damaged or not, but we want to make sure, you know, we look out for our members. And he was very thankful. He said, oh, really? Thank you. It's like, you know, it's like, because it costs money for people to have to go move, pack up the family and move up, you know, just to get away.
Right.
You know, whether you go and stay with your family or friends or rent a hotel or whatever you have to do, it costs money. And so it's a little money in the pocket. And I told him, I said, well, if there's anything else that happened to your property or whatever, the National PVA office has another grant, disaster relief, for $1,500. But these resources are for veterans of PVA and veterans, just in general. Everyone, not just one, it's for all.
Right. And I think a lot of times what we forget, even like with you say you're in the wheelchair, we forget that a lot, especially if they're living independent. So if you live independent, you live by yourself, and a situation like this happens, it's harder for you to get up, get all your stuff together, and then get in your vehicle and find a place to go.
It is.
Because, you know, you have to have certain accommodations, and every place doesn't have it. Because I'm sure once this starts happening, like you said, they'll help assist with your temporary living. But you have to figure with all those people gone, all the hotels and everything is probably all booked up. And so in order for you to find a place, you know, that accommodates you, it's almost like you have to have some special web page. So I don't know if that's happened or not, but that would be a suggestion, that get together a special web page or something that identifies places where, let's say somebody who's paralyzed. I know I have a neighbor, a friend of mine, she has her relative she takes care of. She's paralyzed from the neck down. So the situation like with hers, to evacuate, that will be hard because first of all, you have to have a special transportation, and then a special place to go to. And so we know you have a lot of situations like that, and there needs to be a place for them to go. So this could be in the future, of course, that maybe they can set up something like that. So when you go to Vets Whiteside, it has for that, or is there already one? There
are already places out there, resources for things like that. You know, we just, you know, I know we're I don't know if we're getting close to a break, but when we come back, you know, I'll give some tips on things that people need to do just in case, you know, even before this comes. And there are resources, and we could talk about that, you know, to make sure that, you know, everyone knows it's not just, there are resources for veterans and more ways than you can think of.
Okay, yeah, we want to do that. Yeah, and then when we come back too, is I have tips or things, because I say, well, if something happens, I say, be ready to go. We'll say, okay, we're ready, we're good. But I'd say 80, 85, 90% of the time, we're not ready the way we should be ready. Mentally, we're ready. Okay, I'm gonna jump in the car and go. But you know, when you get ready to go, you have to realize it's gonna be heavy traffic. First of all, so if you're one of those people who ride around with your tank on E all the time, the chance of you getting someplace to get enough gas to really go, it'll be slim to none. And so that's part of the being ready. Then you know you got to have your car fueled up and ready to sit in traffic. First of all, like we said earlier, for 2 or 3 hours, and then to get wherever your destination is. And so that's part of that. And also the things you need. I'll grab my family photos, or you know, I'll grab my favorite clothes. You know, you do need clothes, but you don't want your favorite clothes, because usually your favorite clothes are the dressy ones.
Well, those are the ones that are going to be, you know, they won't be your favorites if something happened, you know, because you won't have them anymore. Right,
because not only that, you want something that'll be warm, that you'll be able to, if necessary, be able to sleep outside or in your vehicle with. So you want to pack warm, good clothing.
Yes.
But we're going to take a quick break. Then on the other side of it, I'm going to come back and let you say the things that you needed to say. Again, E Factor Radio Special Edition with Cornelius Bryant and special guest Charles Whitehead.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio, where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work-from-home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
All right. Welcome back to the E Factor Radio Show. Today's special guest, Charles Whitehead, president of the VA. So before we went to break, you were going to give us some tips about something else. So tip us off.
All right, yeah. So I've learned that, you know, and a lot of people don't think about these things, but it's always good to know, you know, like to have a kind of like, you know, an evacuation plan. You know, when you go to, if you work at a business or, you know, anything like that, they're always having training for things like this. You know, even like fires or earthquakes or, you know, active shooter things. These are things. So this is a little something, some tips that you should do to prepare for like power outages or things like this. You know, you should always make sure you have an emergency kit which has a flashlight, batteries, a first aid kit, cash, because you never know what's working. Non-perishable food, water, and manual can opener. You should make sure if you have portable chargers and power banks, because everybody we know, everybody I know, even if they're not tech savvy, has a cell phone,
right,
or you know, something that they need to listen to. A battery powered or hand crank radio is a good thing to have. You want to have unplug all your appliances and use surge protectors. Just in case, you know, you don't want your wattages to go up and just, you know, blow everything. Always have like if you can, you know, these are things that you not everyone can have all of this, but a backup power like a generator, that would be, that makes a world of a difference. And especially if for someone who has like an electric chair, wheelchair, and they need to keep their chair powered up. If you lose power in your home for whatever reason, these are things you're going to need. And there are Edison, Southern California Edison. I can just tell you, they have a lot of resources for these kind of things, and you can always go to SCE.com, Southern California, or Google the Southern California Edison for things like this. You always keep your refrigerator and your freezer closed to maintain coolness inside if you have a power outage. Get blankets, warm clothing, and battery-operated fans, not candles or anything like that, because candles, they have battery-operated candles.
Right.
Get yourself like things that you can do if you have kids, like books and games and things like this. Always supplies for pets, children, and your medical needs. Make sure you get a supply of those things, and these are things that you won't think about at the panic moment.
Correct.
So, like you were saying earlier, it's like, no, you need to have these things. And you can also sign up for your local alerts and know your shelter locations, just in case. If you ever get displaced, you will always already have information, instead of just get in your car, you run out, you go somewhere, and then you're like, oh, what do we do now? What do we do now? And of course, like I said, use the battery operated candles instead of the traditional. And just make sure if you have a generator, you operate them safely outdoors. And here's the thing too that people tend to do: if it's cold and you don't have any power, please, please, please do not use a barbecue grill, a gas grill, or a coal grill to warm your home up, because then you will have
methane.
The carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
Because carbon monoxide is a silent killer, and there have been plenty of people who've done that, and so you don't want to do that. Just be wise. And here's the other thing I heard too: take pictures of everything in your home. Because then if something, say your home burns down, and you have to go deal with the insurance, you'll have pictures and say, well, I had this, and that's a good tip for anyone, regardless of whether you're rich or not. If, the insurance company's going to be like, well, what did you lose? If you have a picture and you have a record, that it makes makes it a little bit easier to deal with them. So.
Right. Let's go back to something you said about, if you're in an electric wheelchair and then, keep it charged. That's part of the scenario I was talking about earlier. So if you have to evacuate and you have an electric wheelchair, now you're evacuating, you're going to your destination, is, make sure, I don't know if there's any way to power it other than just having to be plugged into electricity. Is there another alternative method? Because normally the average person doesn't have a generator big enough to maintain those type of equipment. And so is there any way that you can help, or you can think of, that says, okay, now I'm in this electric generator, I'm in bed at night, it's charging, I'm asleep, the call comes to evacuate. I jump up and I get in my chair and I take off, but it's not fully charged. So now here I am out, and wherever I am, whatever location, now the charge is low, or it goes dead. What alternatives, is there any alternative to charge the chairs up, or even respiratory equipment that a lot of people need?
Well, for sure, if you come across a situation like that, what you want to do is you make sure you always have somebody who's like, if something happens, that you can call on, and they can be there within minutes, if possible. And if you need to evacuate, and say you use a power chair, and you're not as mobile, make sure your caregiver or whoever it is that comes help you, make sure they take that charger with you. That's one. But if you get somewhere and you're displaced, there are companies out there who will offer you like charges for your cell phone, your chair. You know, they will find accommodations. You know, maybe it won't be like right on the spot. It may take a minute to get the
right.
But there are companies and there are people out there who will definitely look out for the best interest of somebody like that. And again, you know, you can give us a call over at the PVA, and we can absolutely put you in the right direction of who to get in touch with, because there are programs for things like this that you know the average person won't think about. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. You know, oh, my chair, or someone who's on a like oxygen, or they have a heart monitor and things like this. You know, there's you know, so you need, if you're on any of these things, you need to make sure that you include this in your evacuation plan. You know, include this with the people that you talk with to make sure that they know. You know, have a list ready, even if you just put it on your refrigerator or somewhere by your door. So if you need somebody and you have to call on someone, when they come over, you tell them, hey, I got a list up there, and you know, and you know, like have your materials ready. And like myself, you know, because I was when I was traveling a lot with you know, sports, and even now, I always have a bag of things that's packed up and ready to go. You know, like toiletries and all of this thing. That way, you know, because I used to take and then the last minute be scrambling. Oh, let me get this. Put my toothbrush. So I have a bag now. It's ready to go. You know, regardless. And people don't think about certain things like foods that you can pack away to have, like granola bars and things like that. You know, these are things that are like earthquake kit. You could put in the earthquake kit, survival kit. Water. Make sure you have plenty of water.
Right.
You know, and things like that you know, they don't take up a whole ton of space. And if they do, it's, you know, this is your life. You know, to get out of there and make sure you have resources.
Right. I know where you said something about the alert system, because I know they had an alert going out to people saying to evacuate the areas, and it was false alerts.
Yes.
Or the alert was
false alarm.
Right. And so that's just heartening too. You're sitting here and I got this alert, you know, prepare to evacuate because of the smoke and what have you in your area. And so, you know, you go and you look outside and you don't see any smoke or anything. You go check the news and there's not saying anything about a fire in your area anywhere close to where you are. But now that adds another level of anxiety and stress, because you're saying, well, if they're telling me evacuate right away because the fire is 10 blocks from my street. And so, you know, when you do these things, you got to be careful, even with the alert systems, because nothing's perfect, nothing's foolproof. So you always want to, when you get these alerts, of course, if you look out the door and you see smoke approaching, more than likely it's correct. But always just pay attention to those, and, you know, don't be so nervous or what have you that you don't investigate certain things when they don't seem right.
Right.
At the same time, don't ignore it.
Right. You know, and I remember that because I got that alert yesterday, and I heard on the radio this morning, or, you know, that they were talking about the company that sent that alert out. Is they're making making changes to you know, fix that from happening again, because
Right.
you know, you do. I mean, you like you say, you could put a lot of stress on someone, and they're like, what? I don't know. Even if you're stuck in the house and you can't get outside, you know, just say you're elderly, you know, so now you got people stressing, and you know, they're like, oh, you know, there's a fire in my area, and when there really isn't. So that company is, you know, they apologize, and I think they're trying to fix that so it doesn't happen again.
Right. But at the same time, when they tell you to evacuate, don't be so much worried about your property or your belongings that you stay there.
Right.
Because I know a couple of times it's happened and the person's end up dying.
I know.
Because nothing's more important than life.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of stuff you say, oh, you can always get it back. A lot of stuff you can't get back.
True.
You know, a lot of stuff you can't get back. But one thing's for sure, you can't get new if you're not alive.
True. That's true. Absolutely.
Right. So,
true.
you know, we want to be very vigilant with that. And also, I have a couple of resources here too, that some things that I didn't think about, but someone sent this list out today for things that you need to have packed in your to-go bag, so to speak, like birth certificates, passports, visa, your home insurance documents, car insurance documents, and here's one right here, health insurance, and then your medical history. Because a lot of times, you rush out here, and if something happens to you, no one knows. You've got thousands of people you're trying to take care of. No one knows your health information.
Right.
And so everybody's working to try to save you, but it's like, okay, did you have some kind of pre-existing condition? Did you have medication? Make sure you have your medication with you. Even your prescriptions, in case something happens, you have to go get it filled in a different city or location, that you have these things ready to go. And that's extremely important for the people, especially like if you have heart medication or any type of medication, because in this case, you can't go back to where you used to get your prescriptions filled at, where they had record and all the information. So now you got to find someplace else. And normally, it takes a couple of days to do it. So you have to figure with all the new influx of people and prescriptions, it'll take even longer. But you want to make sure you have that information ready for them, so you don't have to be too many days or what have you without your medication and have your medical needs met.
Right.
And this right here, it's one that I would have never thought of. It says power of attorney.
True.
Power of attorney, because depending on where you are and what happens, you may not be in a mental state to really deal with stuff because of the anxiety or whatever it is. So power of attorney, that's something that I would have never thought of, but to carry that with you, because when these things happen, we think about scammers, everybody trying to get whatever it is that you have, but a lot of times, sadly to say, it's the family members who are doing the worst scamming.
Yes.
And so, they're like, no, Aunt Mary wanted me to have this and be in control of this or that, and now you have that another dynamic of the family fight going. But you want to have stuff like that that's important, that oversees your life, really. And so, these are just things we didn't think about. And also, if you look right here, we have the Renaissance Man School of Life Skills, Leadership, and Etiquette. And we have my phone number, 951-238-4720. And also, I have my email there, info@therenaissanceman.es. And like we said for the show, we have info@theefactorradio.com. You can reach us for more information. We'll forward it to Charles, and he can forward it to the necessary
we can back
people.
and forth with each other. Yes, absolutely.
Right. We're just here to help as much as we possibly can. But we're nearing the end of our show, and I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. And remember, we're going to take one more quick break, and we're going to come back and let Charles close us out. Remember, everybody, be nice to each other, show love and compassion for each other. On the other side of this break, we'll be closing out. We'll be back in some minutes.
KCAA Radio has openings for 1-hour talk shows. If you want to host a radio show, now is the time. Make KCAA your flagship station. Our rates are affordable and our services are second to none. We broadcast to a population of 5 million people. Plus, we stream and podcast on all major online audio and video systems. If you've been thinking about broadcasting a weekly radio program on Real Radio plus the internet, contact our CEO at 281-599-9800. 281-599-9800. You can Skype your show from your home to our Redlands, California studio, where our live producers and engineers are ready to work with you personally. A radio program on KCAA is the perfect work-from-home avocation in these stressful times. Just type kcaaradio.com into your browser to learn more about hosting a show on the best station in the nation, or call our CEO for details, 281-599-9800.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
All right. Welcome back to the E Factor Radio Show. I just looked at some of my notes while we're away on the things that you want to have with you. And it's important to have your deeds and all those things with it, like your deeds of trust if you own property. Because I know one of my siblings' friends, they had 3 houses. They lost 3 houses. And so you want to make sure you have all your paperwork and all your deeds for that, because when the time comes, you need to have proof that you own those, because, even the records are short. That's why you need to make sure you have your driver's license ID with you. But we're getting ready to close. So, Charles, let's go over again all those numbers. So if people didn't hear it the first time, they can get a chance to hear it again, okay?
Okay, so, you can give us a call, and I say us, at the PVA office in Long Beach, the Paralyzed Vets, and we can forward you, we can send you in the right direction. So our office number is area code 562-826-5713, or you can send us an email at info@pvacc.org, or you can send me an email at cwhitehead, C as in Charles, Whitehead, WHITEHEAD @pvacc.org. And for those other resources, I'll talk about Southern California Edison. You can just go to their website, Google, I think it's SCE.org, and just give us a call, and we'll make sure, and I'll connect you up with anything you need. If you're a veteran, if you're a non-member of a veteran who's not a member of our organization, we still have a list of resources for housing, for employment, for anything you need. There are the VA, and there are all kinds of veteran organizations like the Disabled Vets, DAV, there are so many different veteran organizations that are out there to help. And I have phone numbers. Again, give us a call, area code 562-826-5713, or send us an email at info@pvacc.org, or you can call the Renaissance Man at 951-238-4720. That's 951-238-4720. And again, like you said, send them an email at info@therenaissanceman.es. So,
and also info@efactorradio.com.
Yeah, so between all of these numbers and different things, we have the resources, we have the will and ability to help people, and so we will make sure if you have don't stress out over it if you can about getting just give one of us a call, and we will make sure. Or and then I do have my own show. It's the first and third Saturdays of the month, and that's the Cool Veteran Show. That's the Cool Veteran Show, and we're here at the same time frame. It's 2 o'clock on Saturdays, first and third Saturdays, 2 o'clock. So you can always see me there. Not see me if you don't, but you can find me there, and the information just goes on. So you can send me a phone call when you're here. You can call in at 909-383-1000. We got 1 minute, and then I'm going to just turn it back over to Kani, and thank you for having me on the show. I think it's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is good. This is what we need to do. This is what community partners are about. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yes. And then, of course, on this show next week, he'll do a follow-up, I'm sure.
Yes.
Hey, to all you people out there, if you can hear us, and to everyone who ears touch, show some love to one another. Show some love and compassion, because a lot of these people, they feel like they're by themselves, but let's let them know they're not by themselves. We're here to help them and support them in anywhere we can. Again, this is Cornelius Brown with the E Factor Radio Show. Special guest, Charles Whitehead, president of the PVA. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you week after.
All right.
San Bernardino, Loma Linda, Rialto listens to KCAA Radio.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month.